The film begins with a spaceship crash landing on a planet Earth in ancient times. The collision shocks the area's wildlife, and the ship ends up sinking into a lake. Two humanoid figures in advanced spacesuits emerge from the wreckage. One helps his companion out of the water, but as he passes out, he experiences brief flashbacks of the past. Upon awakening, the spaceman realizes that his companion has died from a severe chest wound. In the distance, he hears a robotic call coming from a computer stranded in the lake. The man saves the machine and asks, in an unknown language, for information about the planet they have landed on. He also inquires about the whereabouts of other ships, but the computer informs him that there are no records of any nearby. Disappointed, the man prepares for the computer to download and transfer data about the planet, its civilization, species, languages, and culture. The process is difficult and painful for him to assimilate. Afterwards, he regains his composure and practices his aim with a destructive gun that survived the crash. At nightfall, he buries his fallen comrade. Now, the Outlander's mission is to survive in an unknown world, a vast forest, using only his gun. During his search, he discovers the lifeless body of a whale near a destroyed and abandoned village, clear evidence of an attack by something inhuman. As he realizes he is being watched, the Outlander flees but is intercepted by a horse rider who knocks him unconscious, causing him to lose his weapon in the river. While unconscious, the Outlander is taken hostage to a Viking village surrounded by a wooden wall. In a grand hall, young Freya spars with her father, King Hrothgar. She tells him she will not marry her suitor, Wulfric, a pretender to the throne. Their fight ends when Hrothgar cuts her shoulder, prompting him to stop and tend to her wound. Wulfric arrives, but his arrogant attitude only increases Freya's dislike for him, and she storms off. Hrothgar and Wulfric then discuss the destruction of a nearby village. Wulfric reports that during their investigation, they captured a man who does not appear to belong to any known settlement. The prisoner, the spaceman, is paraded before the villagers, who mock and marvel at his strange clothing. Wulfric takes him to a hut for questioning, demanding his name. The Outlander identifies himself as Kainan. Kainan lies, claiming he is from an island in the north and has come to hunt dragons. The Vikings are skeptical, suspecting that he was responsible for the attack on the nearby village. When Kainan attempts to escape, the Vikings overpower him. Later, he tries again, using a burning iron bar to break free. However, before he can succeed, Freya arrives to tend to him at Wulfric's request. That evening, Hrothgar asks Wulfric about the prisoner, but Wulfric reports that Kainan refuses to cooperate. Hrothgar insists they must seek out Gunnar, the chief of the destroyed village, and explain that they were not responsible for the attack. Wulfric hesitates, as he holds a grudge against Gunnar for killing his father, the former king. Hrothgar explains that his father's recklessness led to his downfall. Meanwhile, Freya questions Kainan, asking if he was responsible for the attack. He denies it. Seizing an opportunity, Kainan overpowers Freya and her guard, knocking him out. He attempts to escape under the cover of night, but his plan is foiled when alarms sound, warning of an enemy attack. The Vikings spring into action, believing Gunnar has come for revenge. To their surprise, they find no human enemy, only destruction. The true threat is already inside the village. A monstrous, tentacled creature lurks in the stables, unleashing havoc as it kills and burns everything in its path. Kainan recognizes the creature and gives it a name, the Moorwen, the real dragon he was hunting. As he chases the beast, the Vikings capture Kainan again, tying him to a rock. As he sits in captivity, he experiences haunting flashbacks of the Moorwen attacking his home. The next day, a young village boy offers Kainan bread. He accepts it, though cautiously. Meanwhile, the village leaders try to determine who or what attacked them the night before. Kainan is brought before Hrothgar and questioned about the dragon he claims to be hunting. Kainan confesses that the Moorwen also attacked his people and that it lures prey with glowing lights before killing them. He admits that he inadvertently brought the Moorwen to their land. Just as he is about to be executed, Hrothgar intervenes, stating that he does not fully believe Kainan's story. Understanding that the Vikings intend to hunt the Moorwen, Kainan requests to join them. He is given a horse and a good punch from Freya for attacking her earlier in the tent, and then they set out on their hunt. A blacksmith named Boromir offers Kainan some mead, but he spits it out. Hrothgar engages Kainan in conversation, and Kainan warns that if they do not stop the Moorwen, the village will suffer the same fate as his home. As they investigate, Wulfric discovers several corpses and suggests splitting into groups. Kainan argues that staying together is safer, but Hrothgar decides they will pair up. While searching, a severed horse's head falls from above, shocking Hrothgar and Boromir. Another group finds charred corpses outside a cave, and soon they hear chilling screams. Rushing inside, they come face to face with a massive bear. A fierce battle ensues. Though the beast resists, Kainan ultimately delivers the killing blow. Impressed, Hrothgar spares Kainan's life, granting him freedom. The village celebrates the victory with a feast. During the celebration, Kainan reappears, now wearing traditional Viking clothing. To his surprise, he is warmly welcomed. He joins Hrothgar at the table, where the young boy who gave him bread introduces himself as Eric. Hrothgar explains that Eric is an orphan whom the village has taken in. As the festivities continue, Wulfric challenges Kainan to a game called Shields. The competitors must balance on shields held by their fellow warriors. After an impressive display, Kainan falls on Boromir. Instead of mocking him, Wulfric helps him up, signaling newfound trust. The villagers cheer their newest member. Later, Kainan encounters Freya, who thanks him for aiding her father during the hunt. He warns her that the bear was not the true threat and the Moorwen still lurks and will return. Suddenly, Gunnar's warriors launch a surprise attack on the village. A fierce battle erupts, with Kainan and Freya cutting down several enemies. Hrothgar is confronted by Gunnar, who knocks him to the ground. Just as he is about to deliver a fatal blow, Kainan intervenes, saving the king. Before Gunnar can retaliate, his men drag him away, declaring the battle lost. As they retreat, Gunnar curses Hrothgar, blaming him for the deaths of his people. As the village recovers, Freya tells Kainan about the history between Gunnar and Wulfric. Years ago, Wulfric's father sought to unite the villages against the Franks, but Gunnar refused to join. This caused a bitter divide, leading to bloodshed between their people. Meanwhile, in the wilderness, the Moorwen begins hunting down Gunnar's men one by one. When Gunnar himself faces the beast, he does not flee, he chooses to fight. Back at the village, some of Gunnar's surviving warriors arrive, terrified and seeking refuge. Wulfric suspects the trap and orders his archers to fire. Gunnar himself stumbles forward, wounded and desperate. The archers kill some of his men, but Kainan orders them to stop. He opens the village gates to let them in. Just then, blue lights appear in the forest, trapping a man and tearing him apart. The lights turn red, revealing the enraged Moorwen before it disappears into the night. Now, the Vikings can no longer deny the creature's existence. There's tension between Wulfric and Gunnar in the Great Hall, with Gunnar claiming that hitting the Moorwen felt like striking a stone wall. Kainan tells them that fighting the Moorwen in open fields is impossible, so they must devise a trap. Wulfric doesn't trust the plan and argues that Kainan isn't one of them, so they shouldn't listen to him. However, Kainan lashes out, saying Wulfric is wrong, just as he was about the supposed bear attacks and Gunnar. The two nearly fight, but Hrothgar separates them. The king sides with Kainan and declares that his plan will be followed. The next day, they build a trap at the village entrance, and Kainan requests flammable materials. They dig a deep pit disguised as a hut, lining it with poles filled with oil. After everything is set, Hrothgar offers Kainan a place in the village, making him one of his own. Meanwhile, one of the previous night's victims wakes up surrounded by corpses, only to be finished off by the Moorwen. In Freya's hut, she and Kainan share a bowl of stew, and Kainan makes a confession that his people are actually conquerors of worlds. When they arrived in the Moorwen's territory, they wiped out its kind with bombs, hunting down the survivors to claim dominion. Kainan was part of a group of space colonizers, and in exchange for eradicating the Moorwens, he and his family were given a place to live. Sometime after the conquest, Kainan left for a new mission, only to discover that a surviving Moorwen had hidden in the ship's ventilation. That same creature later killed the remaining population. Kainan blames himself, but Freya reassures him. She gives him her family's sword to help him fight. They all prepare for the trap, now with Gunnar's help. The warriors open the gates while Wulfric and Kainan wait outside for the beast. When nothing happens, Kainan throws a torch into the forest, only to realize the Moorwen is right in front of them. Out of nowhere, the village priest appears, praying for the beast to leave, claiming it is an emissary of Lucifer. The Moorwen kills him brutally. Kainan and Wulfric run, passing the water trap and using shields as a platform to escape. However, Wulfric falls into the water alongside the beast. To make matters worse, the warriors close the doors, leaving the two of them inside. Just before the archers release their flaming arrows, Kainan manages to pull Wulfric to safety, saving him from the explosion. As everyone reels from the blast, a second, smaller Moorwen appears behind them, near the women's hiding place. To protect everyone, Freya attacks. Her father, Hrothgar, rushes to help but is fatally wounded. As if things weren't bad enough, the first Moorwen re-emerges from the fire, angrier than ever. Wulfric and Kainan attack together but are no match for the monster. Gunnar steps in to help but is decapitated in an instant. Eric warns Kainan that there is a second Moorwen, so they rush to aid Freya. Unfortunately, they find her holding her father's lifeless body. The village evacuates the next day, fearing another attack. Eric wants to stay with Kainan, but Kainan insists the village is no longer safe, urging him to leave with the others. He promises Eric they will meet again. Kainan finds Wulfric, who is too distraught to feel worthy of ruling. Kainan tells him they must fight the monster together. They gather a small group of men and descend into the village well, hoping to find the Moorwen's lair. Kainan asks Boromir to forge new weapons with stronger materials. Kainan, Freya, and Wulfric travel to the lake where his ship crashed to recover supplies. As Kainan dives down, he is ambushed by a Moorwen underwater. When he resurfaces, he finds their boat destroyed. Wulfric is alive, but Freya is missing. Boromir forges a new, stronger sword. Kainan and his group descend the well, entering an underground cavern. Meanwhile, Freya awakens in the Moorwen's nest, surrounded by corpses. As she tries to escape, one of the creatures senses intruders and leaves her to attack them. Kainan's group finds the lair but suffers heavy losses, including Boromir's death. Freya manages to call out, and the wounded Moorwen, now relying only on sound, corners her. She barely dodges its attacks. Trapped in a tight space, she has no choice but to take the sword Kainan throws her and kills the creature. When they reunite, they are horrified by the number of corpses in the cave. Suddenly, the last Moorwen finds its offspring's body and goes berserk. The group flees, reaching a waterfall on a mountain next to a cliff. The walls are too slippery to climb, and as they attempt to escape, Freya slips but is caught by Kainan. Wulfric battles the older Moorwen and wounds its face, but the beast hurls his body toward Kainan, leaving him to fight alone. Kainan re-enters the cave and wounds the beast, following its blood trail. Just as the Moorwen ambushes him, Freya arrives in time to distract it. Kainan lunges, but the beast drags him to the edge of the cliff. Freya holds onto him as he struggles. In a final act, Kainan severs the Moorwen's hand, sending it plummeting to its death. They return to Wulfric, who, in his final moments, asks if the beast is truly dead. They confirm it. Wulfric offers Kainan the medallion that signifies kingship, regretting their lack of friendship. Kainan assures him they were friends. Wulfric dies. Kainan and Freya climb the cliff and spot Eric and the villagers in the boats below. They share a kiss, but Kainan tells Freya he must do something before staying. She worries he may never return. Kainan visits his crashed ship, revealing that his wife was in suspended animation during the journey. Her capsule ruptured in the crash, killing her. He says goodbye and signals his comrades to retrieve him. However, Freya watches as Kainan destroys the computer, abandoning his only way home. In the epilogue, Freya narrates that Wulfric and Hrothgar were buried with the highest Viking honors. Kainan, once a stranger, became their new king, with Freya as his wife and Eric as his adopted son. She concludes that although Kainan was sent by the gods, he chose to stay with them. So a really good one-time watch movie, and based on this concept we had similar pieces, The Tomorrow War and Elevation. The Tomorrow War was really good from the story point of view, action, plot and the arc of the White Spikers. Elevation seemed forced reuse of the same plot. Nevertheless, the end of Elevation was still decent, meaning they have a good chance to redeem the story with a good sequel and or prequel, as though the first one ended with a cliffhanger.